This right here is my first self-built mechanical keyboard, and I have to say I'm really happy how it turned out. In this video I want to let you know what I've learned building this board from the idea to the finished keyboard. So first things first. A few months ago I introduced myself into self-built mechanical keyboards, and I was pretty much instantly obsessed. I've searched for hours and hours for websites where parts were available and maybe get some inspiration along the way. And that is one of the first things I've learned. There are websites where, if you're lucky, you can get all the parts you need, but most of the time you need to buy different parts from different websites, and this especially is the case if you want an ISO layout or any different layout that's not the standard ANSI layout. The second thing I've learned is that the most time you buy something, it needs to be shipped via international shipping, which is very expensive. Plus, depending on where you live, you have to pay customs. So these two things, shipping and customs, you should always calculate if you buy something, because it will make the part you buy much more expensive than you think it will be. I ended up with a website called macboards.co.uk where I bought most of my parts. That includes the KBDfans Tofu 60% case in acrylic, the DZ60 PCB, a brass plate, some Durock screw-in stabilizers, and a metal switch opener. The switches, the loop, and all the tools I needed I bought from local suppliers and Amazon. The hardest part of the build was to find the keycaps. In fact, the keycaps I've installed right now were the only ones I've found that were available, have the keys I need, and fit to the overall aesthetic of the keyboard. There are some cheap PBT keycaps that work fine for now, but in the future I want something else. I bought these from mykeyboard.eu. What I've learned from that is that if you find keycaps that you like and that are in stock, you should definitely buy them, especially if they have an ISO kit with the keys you need in your language. Building the keyboard was fairly easy and worked as expected. The lubing of the switches was very time consuming, as expected, but 100% worth it. And soldering was working pretty well, but, and that's a big but, you should take your time while soldering. I was kind of rushing it, and therefore some of my keys are not perfectly aligned. I will fix it in the future, I promise. For the next keyboard I will probably buy a hot swappable PCB. They are slightly more expensive, but you save a lot of time, and I guess the keys will be properly aligned. But I have to say I am very happy with my keyboard. I was going for a design that was oriented on a G-Shock that I really like, and I think it turned out great. The switch from a full-sized keyboard to 60% was way easier than I expected it to be. I created my key map with different layers so that I have all the keys I need, and I was used to it pretty fast. I was worried that I will miss the numpad, but I have to say I don't miss it at all. So in conclusion, you probably have to buy from different websites. You should always take a look on the shipping costs and the customs you may have to pay. The keycaps are probably the hardest thing to get, so if you can buy them, you should buy them. And switching to a 60% keyboard is actually not that bad. It's way easier than you think it will be, and I think you won't miss a full-sized keyboard. I hope that you enjoyed the video and maybe you have learned something. As always, feedback is appreciated, and stay safe.